I know that you're missing your ex. I know that you're missing the connection that the two of you had, and that you want them to miss it too and to value it. Now, I don't know exactly what happened that made them want to leave or that made the relationship fall apart, but I want to tell you a little story about something that I did that made my ex regret leaving me. Now, this story takes place a while back, before me and my wife met and got married and everything like that. But it's still relevant to you, and it still could be very helpful to you. And I want you to listen to this as well, too, because you might think that you got the lesson out of this, but there's really something really important in it that I'm going to lay out for you that so many people miss. So many people that are following other, relationship channels online. They want the simple little easy to understand instruction of, just do no contact or something like that. So listen, and at the end, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is in case you missed it. But in case you don't know my story, me and my big ex from the past, we had met in high school. We were high school sweethearts, and we were together for a total of about 7 years. During that time, we broke up and got back together a couple of times before it just became really clear that we were not compatible with each other. We just wanted different things in life, and, that's not to make her wrong or me wrong or anything like that. It's just, in order for us to be together, one of us would have needed to be unhappy, or both of us. Actually, the second time that we broke up, I can tell you about the first time a different time, but the second time that we broke up, she basically had developed feelings for a friend of her brother's. If I remember correctly, I think he was a friend of her brother's. And she had called me and said that she didn't want to be together anymore. And, we had that talk over the phone. I was living somewhere else, actually, in Italy at the time, so we couldn't really do it in person. I was in school, studying abroad for that semester, and so we had that conversation. And afterwards, I knew that I did want to get her back, and so I went and tried all the things that I could do. So first of all, the last couple of weeks that I was in Italy, I tried to plead with her from a distance. I got some gifts before I returned home, right before Christmas. Those didn't really get the job done. And, I tried some different things as well, too. I read some information that I found on the internet, about being distant, aloof, all that sort of stuff. And I, did get her to meet up with me, but she was just really very angry at me after I tried some of those tricks that I had learned online. So we ended up getting into this big fight around the end of December. Basically, she had asked me to do something that was not really aligned with my values and who I wanted to be. She had demonstrated to me in this move, in this act, that she had changed, that she wasn't the woman that I thought she was either. What happened was we had this final sort of argument, squabble, if you will, and then we just stopped talking for a period of time. I'd been reading about the no contact rule even back then. At the time, it really scared me, to be honest with you. I thought that if I let go of the one little fragile thread of connection that we did have, that it would cause her to just, let go completely and forget about me. And, I'd read all those little fortune cookie things that they say, if you love somebody, you let them go. If they come back, they were yours all along. If they don't, then they never were. All that stuff. I didn't want to let go. But after this whole argument, I figured, okay, well, I just feel really sad, really disappointed, really upset about where things are. I guess I've run out of options. I guess I have nothing else to do but to stop contacting her. So I did, I just let her be in that place of, having to own what she did, what she had done, uh, the harsh or cruel words that she had said, and I just, went ahead and closed that door. And honestly, during this time, I thought we would never talk again. Maybe the first couple of days, I thought, okay, maybe she'll call and apologize for what she said, or she'll try to make things right. But after a couple of days, and no phone call, no message or anything like that, I figured, okay, this is it. This is how it ends. This is how it ends. And I went through a lot of sadness. I went through a lot of ups and downs and emotional roller coaster gyrations through all of this. And day after day passed, and eventually week after week passed. And I had thought she just didn't care. I thought she had just moved on. I thought that she had just forgotten about me and was just happily in this new relationship with this new guy. Until one day, out of the blue, completely unexpected, I got a message from her that said something to the effect of, "Hey, I can't do this anymore. I miss you. I can't stand this game that we're playing. I just want to talk to you. I just want to know what you're doing." And, I was in the middle of something. I didn't have the time to just, give her a full response or call her right then. So I just sent her a quick message that said, "Hey, I have to go and do something. I'll call you later tonight," or something along those lines. And so then I went on and did my thing. When I finished up what I was in the middle of, I checked my phone, and I had seen that she had, tried to call me a few times. Not just a little like, okay, kind of message and just waiting to see what happened, but she had called me, I think it was 2 or 3 times. We got on the phone and we talked and we connected. We found out that we could still get along well with one another. She did apologize for the things that she had said and our misunderstandings. And it was the process that started us back on our path towards eventually getting back together down the road. Now, that's a whole other story for another time. Right now, we're just talking about, making your ex regret leaving you. And so, clearly, there was a sense of regret that she experienced in leaving me. Now, why was that there? Now, if you're just listening to this casually, you might be thinking, oh, it's because Clay used the no contact rule. I should just use the no contact rule. I should ignore my ex until they come crawling back over broken shards of glass, just like, all of those other folks out there are saying. And if that works for you, great. I do sincerely hope that that you get the results that you're looking for with a strategy like that. But I've also spoken to so many people who don't get that result. They wait 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or, sometimes 6 months or a year even, and they never get the message. The phone never rings. What makes what I did different? What I did differently that worked was that I made her own the state of our relationship and the state of our connection. When I cut contact with her, when I used the no contact rule at that particular point in time, we were not in a good place. We just had a big argument. She had asked me to do something out of alignment. She knew that she was unfair. She knew that she was not being kind. And that was it. That was the circumstance that we stopped talking on, which meant that in addition to just not being in contact, she had to sit there knowing that she had ended this relationship. At that point, it was 5 years ago. I know I said we were together for 7 years, but at that point, it was 5 years. We did get back together, spent another 2 years together. But she had to own the fact that she had ended that 5-year relationship on such a sour note, on such a bad energy, I guess. And that sense of guilt, that sense of knowing that, hey, It's Clay. He may not have been the most perfect guy in the world. Sure, he may have had his faults, and sure, there were probably legitimate reasons for us to break up. But he was doing his best to try to be kind. He was doing his best to try to connect with me, to try to give me some gifts over Christmas, to try to share, to try to love, and all that sort of stuff. And what did I do? I'd go and act like a major jerk, a major, witch, except it starts with a B. And so for the rest of my life, whenever I look back on our time together, I'm going to know that I screwed it up. That I walked away from a perfectly decent guy. And that weighed on her. She owned that. She had to own that. I gave her the gift of responsibility over that. I wasn't petty. I didn't call her names. I didn't say, oh yeah, well you did this. Oh yeah, well you suck because of these reasons or anything like that. I just let her own that. And that weighed on her. She had to own that. She had to take responsibility over that. And, during this time, I had thought, oh, she just moved on. She didn't care. But she did. She was going through this invisible process of regret. She was going through this invisible process of knowing that she messed up, if she made these huge mistakes. There are all these times that I didn't know how that impacted her. I don't know how many times she may have cried herself to sleep at night. I don't know how many times she may have tried to pick up the phone to, either think about calling me or maybe, sending me a message or whatever. But then she thought again and put it down and didn't send it, or who knows. I don't know. She was going through this invisible process that I was completely blind to. Because obviously I wasn't in contact with her. I was just going through the motions of my life, doing the things that I needed to do. And it wasn't until it finally reached that boiling point that she did send that message to me. And she did say, hey, I can't do this anymore. I can't look back on this relationship from my deathbed thinking that I closed the door on this great relationship with this, decent guy. Sure, maybe not perfect guy, but, decent enough, who's just trying to have a good, genuine connection with me. And so she felt the need to correct it. And so that's how you make your ex regret leaving you. It's not just through no contact. No contact can be a tool. Let's be honest. It can leverage certain things, but no contact by itself isn't going to do anything. What is more powerful than no contact is really making sure that they have ownership over the responsibility, or making sure they have ownership over the state of the relationship, making sure that they have responsibility over the state of the relationship. If the two of you aren't in a good place, they have to be able to look back and say, hey, that's because of me. That's not because, because of the things that you did. They can't point the finger at you and say, hey, you were being unfair. You were being judgmental. You were being harsh. You were being, critical or whatever. You have to be on your best behavior. And when they look back, they have to know that they were the one in the wrong, because that's what it's going to take to weigh on them. That's what it's going to take to make them change their mind. That's what it's going to take to motivate them to pick up the phone and to call you or send the message or, whatever it is. Anyway, if you want to know the full strategy, I'd really recommend you check out this video right up here on how to get back together with your ex without using no contact. You can still do this even without using no contact. No contact can be useful at times, but it's not the be-all end-all, as we've just described. Anyway, take care, and I'll talk to you next time.